Hey guys, it's Ken Maxfield, otherwise known as the Hide Guy, and this is our weekly global market recap for the week ending September the 10th. Things in the U.S. saw big packers come out with offer lists that were still fairly populated, very similar to the week prior. Some people would even say there might even been a few more hides for sale. Overall, the majority of the hides offered are easily and available to ship immediately in September. The sold positions that many of these packers were proclaiming back in August being sold through the month of September into October appear to have dissipated. Various reasons why that is, but end of the day, probably more hides for sale than what packers are willing to admit. As far as asking prices, a bit of a smorgasbord. Some decided to leave asking prices alone. Some actually lowered their prices again. And many people pointed out, even at the reduced asking prices, they were aware of sales that took place the week prior at prices even lower than that. And in the instance of a couple of different selections, we saw a couple of the packers actually raise prices, which it caught everybody by surprise, left scratching their head because the market certainly isn't any firmer. As far as interest last week, it actually seemed to be a little bit disappointing for most people, especially traders. There was numerous reports accusing the Packers of going out with special offers, trying to generate some volume type business. Of course, when they do this, it's at prices lower than their asking prices. So it was a difficult week because everyone on the buy side is aware that these guys need to sell some hides. They need some prompt shipments. So, the people who have cash and able to ship prompt know they're in the driver's seat, and they're negotiating prices down hard. So overall, I think it was a modest week of trading levels at least $2 to $3 lower on most selections. There's some reports even lower prices. But at the end of the day, I think popular opinion is that they did not clear their production last week. Cows hides, same thing in the U.S. A lot of offers, offer lists well populated. Asking prices, some left them steady, some lowered by $1 or $2, just like big packer interest. Just not enough people in the market looking for hides. Those who are bidding aggressively lower. I mean, some of these bids out here, not just on cows, but on packer hides, there's $7, $8 to $12 under the ask. It's just kind of crazy that people would even consider that a reasonable bid, but I guess you don't know unless you try, right? But anyhow, I don't think there was enough sales last week on the cow hides. The number of cows in the harvest remains at a very high percentage, running close to 22%. That's coupled with lack of sales is just making things a miserable son of a gun in the cowhide market. And of course, as I said, more hides for sale than there is demand, and most every selection is available to ship prompt. As far as the harvest last week, it was a holiday shortened week, 577. We were calling 575, so not a bad guess there. It compares to 624 the week prior, which of course didn't have a holiday, and it was 581,000 last year, which did include the Labor Day holiday as well. One thing to keep in mind looking ahead, beef demand tends to slow after the Labor Day holiday here in the States. I know live cattle prices are starting to slowly work their way up. Box beef values are starting to come down. So packers, instead of making $9.50 a head last week, made $8.50, according to those who like to count the packers' money. So I'm thinking we're probably going to see somewhere between $6.25, $6.30 this week. That's my initial call. So we'll see how close I get on that. As far as the export report, that's nothing to write home about. Although, the bright spot on the report was we had wet salted sales that were about, look at the number, about 75,000 better than the week prior. Shipments, though, were down 75,000 the week prior. The turd in the punch bowl, so to speak, was the wet blue sales at a whopping 2,000 hides. It was 206,000 the week before. And shipments were also dismal at 64,000. So long and short of it, Total sales were down 130,000 versus the week prior. Shipments were down 135,000. So overall impression of the report was a very bearish report, and of course why we are sitting in the situation that we are. Going around the globe quick, I know that our friends in Europe who've been trying to hold their market steady, and I've always said their market trails us by about 3 to 4 weeks, are starting to encounter some difficulties. As short as 2 weeks ago, they negotiated prices for September at steady levels. However, in the course of the last 3 to 5 days, prices there are off somewhere in the neighborhood 3-5% in generality terms. A lot of concern about, where did all the demand go is the same thing we've been seeing in the States. And the kill tends to pick up in September going forward in Europe. So that's not a positive to the market, with more hides coming at sellers and demand right now languishing. So they are starting to see a small decline in prices in Europe. Going down to Brazil, the good news, bad news. The bad news was last weekend they had 2 atypical cases of BSE discovered. The good news is China came in, did their due diligence, and reinstated the beef exports, because immediately upon finding the BSE, China suspended beef exports. They are the biggest importer of Brazilian beef. But on Friday, the Chinese authorities had toured Brazil. They've done all their due diligence, and they signed off to allow Brazil to start exporting again. So I think it's going to be a non-event. That said, Brazil's facing the same pressure as everybody else. Their fresh hides are relatively stable, only because the kill's running at levels lower than a year ago. Wet blue prices are starting to feel the underlying pressure of the marketplace, and there's just simply not enough demand for the hides being produced. In Australia, it's a similar situation. The good news for those selling hides is that due to COVID and short cattle supplies, harvest levels are continuing to fall below levels of a year ago. Overall, producers who sell on the cattle hides have a decent sold position, but even with the strong sold forward position, they're not able to continue to get the prices they had or were getting, say, 4 weeks ago. Most people trying to hold market steady. Again, it's just that there's not enough demand, and those that have some money able to work around the shipping schedules of the producers are likely able to buy at slightly lower levels, although the price in Australia aren't reflecting the severity of declines that we're seeing, especially in the U.S., but everybody has one eye on that U.S. market and one eye on the Australia market. So as far as what I think is going to happen, that, my friends, you're going to have to go to the website. I have a button on there, request a sample report. Happy to send you a complimentary copy of both my daily U.S. hide report, my weekly world hide report, no obligations. If you like what you see, we can talk about getting you a free, no obligation trial. Don't require a credit card like some of these other services. Just not the way I do things. So give it a shot. The website's www.themaxfieldreport.com. So that's all for this week. Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Until next week. Thanks.